Hi everyone, Curtis here from Goth Rider Creations, and in today's episode, hopefully, with any luck, I'm actually going to build the Sandcaster. Stay tuned. So I figured I would save you all me waffling and just get straight to it. So initially I mixed up 120ml of resin, which is about a millionth of a football field for my American friends. And then I put it in the cup, realised it was about half a cup's worth of resin, and then thought, well, go for the old cement ratio, 5:1, 2.5 cups of sand, and straight off the bat it seemed to work. It was just sticky enough that it would hold together, but not so much that it was sloppy and started sliding everywhere, so that was really good. And then I just mixed over and over again. It was a little bit difficult trying to make sure I got the ratios right, and literally I just went from one color to the next. It didn't go ideally with regard to the amounts of sand, which I'll get to in a bit, but it was also a problem with the design. I'll show you here on screen. I had a set urban camo kind of style that I wanted, and I just couldn't get it anywhere near that tight, so I just kind of splodged it in random colors, trying to keep them all alternated so it didn't look like a giant mess. But all in all, it seemed to go okay. The only other problem was actually mixing up that much sand and resin. This is condensed down from 3.5 hours worth of footage, and I wish I'd gotten a photo of the blisters on my hands. It looked like a teenage kid that had finally managed to get to the last page of Pornhub. It was not good at all, but got there in the end. The only problem I had was towards the last section, I actually ran out of sand, which I didn't think was possible. Just in a second here, you'll see the last sort of central blodge, and I had nothing left, so I just mixed up all of the bits of sand I had left there, and then realized it wasn't quite enough and desperately mixed up a fresh batch of black because I figured it would have the least moisture content in it, and just spooged it on there. I was worried that it was going to react with the resin, but it didn't, and that's the end result. So 3 days later, came to demolding it, and I was so surprised. The cardboard came off quite easily, the tape didn't adhere, the silicone even came off quite easily. It didn't cause too much issues other than the fact of the corrugations from where I made the mold. It actually transferred, and you can see on the bottom of the guitar there's quite a few ridges. Now that's unfortunate, and that will take quite a bit of sanding to get off, but other than that, the mold came out surprisingly well. And then thankfully, with using the thin hardboard as the base, it had quite a bit of flex to it, so it made life much easier popping the actual guitar off of it. Just a couple of good squeezes, and then you'll see a nice little crack, and there you go. And as you can see, the top has actually come out quite clean. There are a few lines in there and tape marks, but that should sand out without too much aggro. And then it's just removing the polystyrene core for the control cavities. It stuck in, but the resin didn't absorb, which was one of my concerns. So I just scored some lines, got my favorite picking tool out, and just dug out all the polystyrene. It did take about 20 minutes. Nothing was majorly an issue. The only problem was it made an absolute mess of tiny bits of polystyrene everywhere. So apologies, Mrs. Goth Rider. I did hoover up afterwards. And then just test fitting the pick guard to make sure everything was in line. And then just digging out some of my random hardware. I wasn't doing a full test fit there. It was just to make sure that the hole for the jack socket was wide enough, because I didn't want to have to rip that or try and dig that out at all. And then just making sure that the bridge would fit nicely with the pickguard. And at this point, I was very, very fucking happy. So the next day it was on to cleaning up the neck pocket. There was a little bit of sand that managed to get underneath the polystyrene from the front, and the polystyrene itself wasn't completely smooth, so it did allow a little bit of inconsistency. So I just went through with the file and just cleaned up all of the edges, made sure everything was neat and flat. And then test fitted the neck, and to my absolute surprise, it was pretty much perfect. Nice snug fit, and done and dusted. So now we're back to the drawer of goodies. Just wanted to dig out all of the humbuckers, any of the pickups, the additional hardware, and I loaded the pickguard off camera because that's just dull. And then all I needed to do was drill out some holes for the humbucker and pickup mounting screws. Obviously they stick in quite a bit further than the control cavities, and I didn't know what I was going to be using at the time, so I figured it wasn't going to be a big job just to drill it out. And all we're doing there is literally laying down some tape because I don't want to get Sharpie all over the thing. Pencil doesn't really show up on something like this, so it's probably easier. And then it's simply a case of getting a straight edge. Great shot of my shoulder there, you idiot. And then just running that across the center of the pickup and marking a line so you know that's where the screws are going to be. And then taking my sharpest masonry drill bit and just drilling some holes to accommodate. And then we are just trimming the excess pickguard from around the neck. As I said before, this thing is cheap Chinese made crap, and it fits about as well as Elon Musk at a bar mitzvah, so had to get all that trimmed out. And then a bit more work and we're ready to start test fitting for the almost final time. It's not perfect, it still needs a little bit of touching up here and there, but managed to manhandle it in place to see how it looks. And then with some careful placement and some test fitting of the hardware, this is the final result. I have to say, all in all, I am very happy with how it's come out. So, there you have it. I can't believe it's come out as well as it has. I didn't bring it down because it weighs literally half a ton, and I'm not dragging that downstairs. But yeah, so it's Instagram ready. It's not fully built. I've got to fully glue down and screw down the neck because I don't trust just screws or just glue, so I'm going to use both and really go to town with it. I need to finesse the pickup positions, finish kind of digging out some of the bits inside so the actual bits of the humbuckers will actually fit down in space. I've got to wire it, I've got to actually screw everything in. I've ordered some little 3mm wooden dowels to go in because I don't trust just drilling a hole and screwing directly into the resin. Knowing my luck, it will just crack, so I'm going to go a little bit more finesse on that. So it's pretty much there. In the next episode I will show you me actually finalising it, getting it perfect, and shock horror, I know you're not going to believe me on this one, I'm actually going to demo it. not me, but I've found someone who will actually demo my guitars, so you will for the first time ever actually hear one of my guitars and not just me trying to do smoke on the water and completely f***ing it up. So that's something to look forward to in the next episode. As always, thank you so much for joining me on my journey of madness. If you haven't already, please subscribe, throw us a comment, let us know what you think, and I shall see you all on the next one. Take care.